College is a chance for teens to get away from their families and experience independence by living on campus. For some, the first year of college may be a tough time, while for others, they welcome their newfound freedom like a breath of fresh air. This mother decided to visit campus on the last day of her daughter's first year in college to help her fly back home with her things. She then decided to surprise her daughter by flying in a day early. But what this mother found at her daughter's dorm surprised her instead. Although the gesture came from a good place, any parent should know that nothing good can come out of surprising your teenage kid on campus. Meet Deanna Pilling from New York. When her daughter, McKenna, graduated from high school and it was time to pick out a college, Deanna was surprised to see that she wanted to go to Utah State University. It was so far away, and McKenna had never left her side before. But as all parents have to go through, she supported McKenna's decision and allowed her to leave the nest. Deanna knew that McKenna needed to be her own person, and to do so, she would need her own space and independence. It was a tough pill to swallow, knowing that she won't get to see her daughter as much as she would want to, but at the same time, she was supportive. Deanna could not wait for McKenna to start this exciting new chapter in her life. Deanna and McKenna had been in touch during her first year in college. They did FaceTime and Deanna got to meet McKenna's friends. They have expressed to each other how much they miss each other, so as the school year was about to end, Deanna decided to fly to Utah so that she could help McKenna fly back home with her things for the summer break. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video with your friends. She told McKenna about her plan and her daughter immediately agreed with the plan. But then, Deanna decided to make her arrival a surprise by booking an earlier flight from New York to Logan, Utah to surprise McKenna. Instead of showing up on the last day of school, Deanna would arrive a day earlier. Deanna knew McKenna would not mind her showing up a day earlier than expected. The mother and daughter had a close relationship, and she knew that McKenna had been missing her as well. Besides, she was a cool mom. Most of McKenna's friends had expressed how much they wished their mother was as cool as Deanna. One thing Deanna had not thought about was the timing. Typically, on the last days of college, friends would spend the time hanging out with each other as much as possible before they leave campus for the summer break. Deanna assumed that her daughter would just be at her dorm room, packing up her things. Before boarding her flight, Deanna decided at the last minute to call her daughter and ask how her day was. She would then casually ask what McKenna's plans were for the evening, hoping that McKenna did not have any so that they could spend time together. However, McKenna did not answer her call and the flight was already boarding. Deanna took off for Utah without knowing whether she would be able to spend time with her daughter or not. 5 hours later, Deanna arrived in Logan, Utah. By the time she hailed a cab to take her to campus, Deanna was buzzing with excitement. She could not wait to see McKenna's face. While in the cab, Deanna's phone started ringing. It was McKenna calling her back. Now that Deanna was already in Utah, there was no turning back for the surprise. But Deanna felt panicky and declined her daughter's phone call. She was never good at lying to her daughter, and she did not want her daughter to be suspicious. Deanna did not want to be the person to ruin her own surprise. So, Deanna set her phone aside and decided to figure out a way to look for McKenna once she arrives on campus. But when the cab dropped her off on campus, Deanna realized a hindrance to her plan. She could not remember where McKenna's dorm was located on campus. Deanna had only been there once when she dropped off McKenna, and that was 9 months ago. Deanna wandered around the campus, trying to remember the name of McKenna's dorm. She could not believe she forgot an important detail, such as the name of her daughter's dorm. She knew McKenna was just a call away, but she did not want to give the surprise away. Since it was the end of the school year, the campus was very busy with students moving out of their on-campus housing. There were a couple of parents around there too, probably to help out their kids, just like Deanna had planned to do. With all the people going around, Deanna felt overwhelmed and lost. The campus looked bigger than she remembered. Because she could not remember the name of McKenna's dorm, Deanna could not ask for directions. Even so, Deanna wanted to keep a low profile so that none of McKenna's friends would recognize her in case they bump into each other. Deanna started to walk around the campus, hoping it would stir up something from her memory. After going around in circles, Deanna finally found McKenna's dorm. It helped that she spotted a few of McKenna's friends chatting by the doors. Deanna actively checked out McKenna's social media accounts to see how her daughter is doing, so she has familiarized herself with the faces McKenna hangs out with. She had no doubt that this was the correct dorm. Deanna was so happy and excited. Finally, her plans to surprise her daughter remain intact. Deanna walked up to the building and took the elevator to McKenna's floor. She took a deep breath and prepared for her entrance. But when she knocked on McKenna's door, there was no answer. Deanna knocked again and listened. No sounds were coming from behind the door. It looks like McKenna was not in her room. Deanna knew she could not just stand outside the door and wait for her daughter to show up. It would be very weird and uncomfortable. Deanna tried the doorknob, and to her surprise, it turned. The room was unlocked. Deanna found that very strange and thought about how irresponsible McKenna was for leaving her dorm room unlocked. But nevertheless, Deanna let herself in the room. It sure beats waiting for McKenna to show up in the hallway. McKenna shared a suite-style dorm room with a couple of girls. They shared a common area, but these girls had their own individual rooms. So when Deanna walked in, she was surprised to see that there were a few girls around who were very busy packing up. They probably did not hear her knocking on the door. Deanna gave the girls a friendly smile and let herself in McKenna's room. The girls did not pay much attention to her as they rushed around to clear out their rooms, but when she checked her daughter's room, Deanna was surprised. McKenna's room was empty and cleared out. Deanna looked around and found boxes at the side of the room. It looked like her daughter had a head start clearing out her dorm room. All the photos and posters were gone from the walls. Her suitcases and bags were packed, and the boxes were neatly labeled. Deanna admired how efficient her daughter was, but there was no sign of McKenna around. All her roommates were here, so why isn't her daughter here? Could she be out hanging with her other group of friends? It was the last days of college after all, and they would not be seeing each other over the summer break. It was then that Deanna started to doubt her decision to surprise her daughter. Deanna had no idea where her daughter could be. She also had no idea where the kids hanged out on campus. And after all the walking, she did look for the right dorm after a 5-hour flight. Deanna was physically and emotionally tired. The only thing that was not packed in the room was the bed, which made sense since McKenna would still be staying the night. So Deanna decided to kick off her shoes and made herself comfortable on her daughter's dorm bed. Although she was now relaxed and ready for rest, Deanna did not want to get too comfortable. If she did, she might fall asleep and McKenna might walk in on her while she was sleeping. And what kind of surprise would that be? So Deanna decided to let the cat out of the bag. But not in a phone call. She was way too cool for that. Deanna decided to take a selfie of her lying on her daughter's bed. Deanna then sent the picture to McKenna with the message, "Where are you?" It took a few minutes for McKenna to reply, and it was not what Deanna expected. Deanna sat up immediately when she saw her daughter's message. McKenna had typed in, "Where's that?" Deanna found it odd that McKenna could not recognize her own bed sheets. Then McKenna sent in another message, "I'm in my dorm," followed by, "Please tell me you're not in someone else's dorm." By then, Deanna started to panic. She immediately got out of the room and out of the suite. She was in the wrong dorm. How could she mess up like that? Thankfully, the real owner of the dorm room did not come in while she was inside. It would have freaked out the owner, and that would be really awkward for Deanna. When Deanna reached the hallway, she quickly texted McKenna, "I am in the wrong dorm, OMG." When she reached the hallway, undetected by the real owner, Deanna immediately realized how silly the whole thing was and started laughing at herself. Thankfully, she did not get into trouble. Now that the cat was out of the bag and she already made a fool out of herself, Deanna finally gave up on the whole secrecy thing. Deanna finally asked her daughter for directions. The good news is that McKenna was definitely surprised that Deanna was on campus early, and also Deanna was not too lost. Deanna found the right dorm and the right floor, but she went in the wrong suite. She was so close. If not for her mishap, she would have been able to see McKenna's surprised face. McKenna thought the whole thing was very funny that she took Deanna's selfie and their funny text exchange to Twitter. McKenna's tweet about Deanna's comical mistake went viral, and now the story had been showcased all over the internet for all the world to see. McKenna and Deanna did not expect how much attention the tweet would get. Each day, the number of retweets grew, and before they knew it, there were articles and posts about it on other websites and social media platforms. McKenna had been enjoying all the attention, but Deanna was not exactly fond of it. Deanna thought only friends and family would get a crack at it and did not expect the world to join in on the fun. Her issue? She wished her picture was better. She can't believe all the retweets and reposts featuring her unflattering selfie. Looking back at the moment, Deanna had shared that she felt sick to the stomach because she walked into that suite and said hi to some of the girls in the dorm. They probably had no idea who she was at all. As it turns out, the owner of the room Deanna trespassed was one of McKenna's friends. Her friend actually commented on the Twitter post with, "Is that my pillow?" But nevertheless, Deanna was happy that her silly mistake made people laugh. McKenna shared that her mom was fond of surprises, so when Deanna sent her the photo, she had a feeling that Deanna was on campus already. McKenna said that this surprise was definitely one of the funniest things that had happened in her life. While most parents know that it is a bad idea to show up in a university uninvited, Deanna is definitely not your ordinary parent. This cool mom was secure enough about her bond with her daughter and knew that she would not be turned away if she shows up. Don't you just wish most teens and parents have a close relationship as Deanna and McKenna? This mother and daughter definitely took the online world by storm and has gained quite a following after the comical incident.